Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Tuesday, September 7th, 2021. Today I'm going to recap yesterday's college football, Major League Baseball, Wnba, and look ahead to everything going on tonight and round of 16 for the U.S. Open as well. I'll do my NFL punters and kickers rankings. I'll do a segment about college football week 1 and some thoughts and some takeaways, latest news and notes, and my best bet of the day. All right, we'll start in college football. We'll go over the game last night that took place in Atlanta. And Ole Miss came out on top by a score of 43-24. As Ole Miss is 1-0, Louisville 0-1. Matt Corral, 22-32, 381 yards and a touchdowns. And Malik Cunningham, 22-37, 191 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. So, Lane Kiffin out for the game because he tested positive for COVID. And Ole Miss still gets it done. This might be a very good team in the SEC this season. I picked them to finish second behind Alabama. And good start. We will talk about it more when we do the takeaway segment. And obviously, week 2 will start on Friday this week, and we will cover all that on Friday's shows. We'll do the picks like we always do. All right, Major League Baseball. We will go over the results from yesterday and look ahead to everything going on today. So without further ado, here we go. Red Sox over the Rays 11-10 in 10 innings. This was some game. Tampa 87-51. Boston 79-61. Colin McHugh to win. Gary Whitlock the loss. Blue Jays over the Yankees 8-0. The Blue Jays 74-62. The Yankees 78-59. Hyunjin Ryu the win. Jameson Taillon the loss. Royals over the Orioles 3-2. The Royals 62-75. Baltimore 43-93. Domingo Tapia the win. Cole Sulser the loss. And Scott Barlow the save. Nationals over the Mets 4-3. The Nats are 57-80. Mets 69-69. Cal Finnegan the win. And Edwin Diaz the loss, as the Nats won on a walk-off single by Carter Kieboom. Pirates over the Tigers 6-3. The Pirates are 49-89. Detroit 67-74. 65-74. Jason Street the win. Kyle Funkhauser the loss. And David Bednar the save. Phillies over the Brewers 12-0. The Phillies 71-66. Milwaukee 84-55. Zach Wheeler to win. Brendan Woodruff the loss. Cubs over the Reds 4-3 as the Cubs win their 7th straight. Wow. I don't think anybody saw this coming after the 2 big losing streaks they had and trading everybody away. The Cubs are 64-75. The Reds are 73-66. Getting the win for the Cubs was Scott Effross. The loss, Michael Lorenzen. And the save, Adam Morgan. Giants over the Rockies 10-5. The Giants 88-50. Colorado 63-75. Kevin Gossman win. Kyle Freeland the loss. Dodgers over the Cardinals 5-1. The Dodgers 87-51. The Cardinals 63-67. Max Scherzer the win. Miles Mikolas the loss. Twins over the Indians 5-2. The Twins are 60-77. Cleveland 68-67. Michael Pineda to win. Logan Allen the loss. And Alex Colom the save. Astros over the Mariners 11-2. So best bet was a winner. The Astros did it by themselves. Houston 80-57. Seattle 75-63. Lance McCullers Jr. to win. Yusei Kikuchi to loss. And Brandon Bielak the save. And the Rangers over the Angels 4-0. The Rangers 49-88. LA 68-70. AJ Alexei the win. And Jaime Barria the loss. All right. Looking ahead to today. 6 o'clock. Twins Indians. John Gann, Aaron Savali. I would expect the Indians to be favored here. But you never know some of these lines, and they are. They're minus 142. Twins plus 120, over under 10, overs minus 104, unders minus 118. Twins plus 1.5 is minus 154. Indians minus 1.5 is plus 128. I don't think we've seen much of Savali this year. I'm going to go under 10 minus 118. I just think that's low. I'm sorry, a high total. 6:30, Tigers, Pirates. Willie Peralta, we know, is going for Pittsburgh. Detroit's probably going to be favored here. If the total is anything below 8.5, I'll consider the over. But if it's anything higher than 10, I'll take the under. Fox Sports 1, Mets, Marlins. Carlos Carrasco and Edward Cabrera. Mets minus 168, Marlins plus 142, over under 7.5, overs minus 106, unders minus 114. Mets minus 1.5 is plus 102, Marlins plus 1.5 is minus 122. How in the world is this total 7.5? I love the over. Love the over. 7 o'clock, Blue Jays, Yankees. Steven Matson, Garrett Cole. Yankees minus 205, Blue Jays plus 172, over under 8.5, overs minus 112, unders minus 108. Blue Jays plus 1.5 is minus 128. Yankees minus 1.5 is plus 106. This is a perfect bounce back spot for the Yankees against a pitcher, and Steven Matson I think is overrated, and it's like the classic Nathan Eovaldi season where you have your good record and decent-ish ERA because you got a lot of run support. But I'm going to still take the over because it's the better play. So give me over 8.5 minus 112. Next up, Orioles from Camden Yards. Jackson Cower and Alexander Wells. Each team's minus 108. Over under 10, overs minus 105, unders minus 115. Royals minus 1.5 is plus 146. Orioles plus 1.5 is minus 176. I'm going with the Royals money line in this spot. I think Jackson Cower has more potential than Alexander Wells. Rays, Red Sox. Drew Rasmussen, Eduardo Rodriguez. Rays minus 110, Red Sox minus 106, over under 9.5, overs minus 115, unders minus 105. Rays minus 1.5 is plus 150, Red Sox plus 1.5 is minus 182. I'm going with the Rays money line minus 110. The Red Sox are a mess. Like, if you didn't watch yesterday's game, what a disaster. Like, between the Yankees and the Red Sox, so many ups and downs with those two teams this season. The worst thing I've seen from either team this season came in yesterday in Fenway Park, where Alex Verdugo literally single-handedly cost that team the game. And the Rays had a Little League grand slam in that game. If you give up a Little League grand slam, like, you should be literally having second thoughts. So, the Red Sox, to me, could be a team that could find themselves out of the wild card, and a team like the Blue Jays could find themselves in. Like, what are the odds that the Blue Jays get the home game? So, give me the Rays minus 110. The Nationals and the Braves at 720. Paolo Espino and Max Fried. Braves minus 245, Nats 2-1, over under 9, overs minus 114, unders minus 106. Nats plus 1.5 is even money. Braves minus 1.5 is minus 120. I'm going to go with over 9 minus 114. Reds Cubs at 7:30. Different start time at Wrigley Field. Wade Miley and Adrian Simpson. Reds minus 154, Cubs plus 130. We don't have total and anything out yet. But if the total is anything less than 8.5, I'll jump on the over. If not, then maybe I'll take the Cubs for their 8th straight. Phillies, Brewers. Aaron Nola, Eric Lauer. Phillies minus 112, Brewers minus 104, over under 8, overs minus 108, unders minus 112. Phillies minus 1.5 is plus 155. Brewers plus 1.5 is minus 188. I like how the Phillies are looking right now. I think this is a decent spot for Aaron Nola to get going a little bit. He hasn't been that great this year, but I think this is a good spot for him. So give me the Phillies minus 112 at Milwaukee. 7:45, the Dodgers and the Cardinals. We don't know who's going for LA, and J-Hap's going for St. Louis. I feel like this is an under game. If the total is anything higher than 8.5, I might consider the under, actually, in this spot. Because the lines are not out for this game yet. 8 o'clock, you have the Mariners and the Astros, Logan Gilbert and Jake Odorizzi. Astros minus 168, Mariners plus 142, over under 8.5. Overs minus 120, unders minus 102. Mariners plus 1.5 is minus 134. Astros minus 1.5 is plus 112. I'm going over again. I mean, Logan Gilbert really hasn't been that good. And Jake Odorizzi, quite frankly, hasn't been that good. Over 8.5 minus 120. 8:30, the Giants and the Rockies. Logan Webb and Chichi Gonzalez. Giants minus 220. Rockies plus 184, over under 11.5. Overs minus 106, unders minus 114. Giants minus 1.5 is minus 142. Rockies plus 1.5 is plus 118. I'm going under 11.5 minus 114. I think that's high, even though the over hit in that game yesterday. 9:30, White Sox A's. Great game. Jimmy Lambert and James Kaprielian. A's minus 136. White Sox plus 116. Over under 9. Overs minus 118. Unders minus 104. White Sox plus 1.5 is minus 152. A's minus 1.5 is plus 126. Tough one. But I'm going to go over 9 minus 118. I think both offenses will get going a little bit here. Rangers D-backs. Spencer Howard, Zach Gallen. D-backs minus 158. Rangers plus 134. Over under 8. Overs minus 112. Unders minus 108. Texas plus 1.5 is minus 156. D-backs minus 1.5 is plus 130. I'm going to go with the over 8, minus 112. I don't think Spencer Howard's very good. Zach Gallen really hasn't been as good as we thought, so I like the over 8. Worst case scenario, it's a push. And 10 o'clock, you have the Angels and the Padres. Pauky Naughton and Blake Snell. I don't see any lines out for this game. And I think that if the total is anything less than 9.5, I'll consider the over in that spot. All right, now we'll go over the WNBA from last night, and we will look ahead to today. Mercury over the Fever, 86-81. The Mercury have been playing great. 9 straight wins. They're 18-10. They turned their year around. They clinched the playoff spot. Indiana, 6-21. Brittany Griner, 21 points, 10 boards. Kelsey Mitchell at 23 for Indy. And tonight, 2 games, 8 o'clock on Prime Video. You have the Sun, the Wings. The Sun are giving 8.5 to Dallas. Dallas is still playing for a playoff spot. They are a game and a half up on the 7th spot from the Liberty and the Mystics. And the Sparks are only 2 games back of them as well. I'm not suggesting they'll win this game. I think they'll be very competitive. So I'm going to take Dallas plus 8.5 against the Sun. Maybe the Sun are looking ahead a little bit. And 10 o'clock on CBS Sports Network, you have the Mystics and the Storm. Seattle's giving a whopping 11.5. Mystics obviously vying for a playoff spot. They're tied with the Liberty right now for that last spot pretty much, but the Liberty are ahead on percentage points. But the Storm are the best team. But I do think that the Mystics will cover. So give me the Mystics plus 11.5, but the Storm will win the game. All right, now we'll move on to tennis, where we had the quarterfinals. The round of 16 of the U.S. Open. The quarterfinals will begin today. So we'll start with the men's. 1 seed Novak Djokovic over Jenson Brooksby in 4 sets. 6 seed Matteo Berrettini over Oscar Ott in 4 sets. Lloyd Harris upsets 22 seed Riley Opelka in 4 sets. And 4 seed Alexander Zverev over 13 seed Jannik Sinner in 3. And we look ahead to today. At noon, you have the Cinderella on the men's side. Botic van de Zandelschup against your 2 seed Daniil Medvedev. We'll pull up the odds right now on FanDuel. Medvedev is 3,500 favorite. Van de Zandschulp is a 22 or 21-1 dog. And I'm going to lay to minus 300, 3-0 for Medvedev. Van de Zandschulp had a nice run, but he's not as good as Medvedev. Come on. And then on the other side of the quarterfinal tonight, you have 12 seed Felix Auger Asalame against another underdog story, Carlos Alcaraz Garcia. Auger Asalame is minus 210. Alcaraz is plus 172. But my play here, I'm going to go Auger Asalame plus 310, 3-1. I think Alcaraz can win a match, so I'm going to go plus 310. Felix Auger Asalame in 4 sets. All right, women's side. Results. 17 seed Maria Sakkari over 6 seed Bianca Andreescu in 3 sets. 4 seed Carolina Pliskova over 14 seed Anastasia Pavlyuchova in 2 sets. Emma Raducanu over Shelby Rogers in 2 sets. And 11 seed Belinda Bencic over 7 seed Iga Swiatek in 2 sets. Right now we'll look ahead to today. At 2 o'clock you have 5 seed Alina Svitolina and Leylah Fernandez. Leylah Fernandez, a huge underdog story throughout this tournament. Svitolina is minus 285. Fernandez is plus 230. In terms of set betting and where I'm going to go Svitolina minus 110 in 2 sets. In the second of 2 in the women's tonight, at 7 o'clock, you have 8 seed Barbora Krejcikova and 2 seed Aryna Sabalenka. Great match. Sabalenka's minus 176. Krejcikova's plus 146. The winner of this match won't shock me either way. I'm going to go with Sabalenka in 3 at plus 280 to move on to the semifinals. And obviously we will go over the quarterfinals in the other side, or the other halves, on tomorrow's show. And then Thursday will be the semifinals, and then the championships will be Saturday and Sunday, respectively. All right, now I'm going to do my NFL Punters Rankings. This is an interesting list that I like to do every year. I base it off of, stats from the last couple of years. And I do some projecting here as well, just like I do pretty much for every other position, but it's more difficult for punters and kickers, obviously. So 32 punters made the list. So without further ado, here we go. And obviously, rookies are at the bottom of these 2 lists because they're so unknown. It's like quarterbacks in a way. But for every other position, I like to mix and match a little bit and project. But rookie quarterbacks and rookie kickers and punters, I usually put at the bottom of the list. So, 32, Presley Harvin III, Steelers. 31, Aaron Sapos, Eagles. 30, Cameron Nizelek, Falcons. 29, Blake Gilligan, Saints. 28, Braden Mann, Jets. 27, Jamoy Gillen, Browns. 26, A.J. Cole, Raiders. 25, Riley Dixon, Giants. 24, Andy Lee, Cardinals. 23, Matt Hack, Bills. 22, Bradley Pinion, Buccaneers. 21, Tommy Townsend, Chiefs. 20, Sam Koch, Ravens. 19, Michael Pilardi, Dolphins. 18, Jordan Berry, Vikings. 17, Brett Curtin, Titans. 16, Pat O'Donnell, Bears. 15, Johnny Hecker, Rams. 13, Joseph Charlton, Panthers. 13, Rigoberto Sanchez, Colts. 12, Brian Anger, Cowboys. 11, Cam Johnston, Texans. 10, Ty Long, Chargers. 9, Sam Martin, Broncos. 8, Mitch Wisnowski, 49ers. 7, Kevin Huber, Bengals. 6, Logan Cook, Jaguars. 5, Ryan Allen, football team. 4, Jack Fox, Lions. 3, Jake Bailey, Patriots. 2, Corey Bajorquez, Packers. And number 1, Michael Dixon, Seattle Seahawks. So, there you have it. My Punters Rankings for the 2021 season. And now I'm going to do my Kickers Rankings for the season. This was a little bit of an easier list to put together because kickers are easier to judge than punters from like a eye test standpoint rather than punters. Well, punters more so too, but kickers, it's just easier because kicking, I think, is an easier job, although more pressure of a job as well. All right, so 32, Quinn Norton, Patriots. 31, Evan McPherson, Bengals. 30, Matt Amendola, Jets. 29, Tristan Viciano, Chargers. 28, Greg Joseph, Vikings. 27, Ryan Santos, Panthers. 26, Austin Siebert, Lions. 25, Jake Elliott, Eagles. 24, Matt Gay, Rams. 23, Chase McLaughlin, Browns. 22, Dustin Hopkins, football team. 21, Sam Ficken, Titans. 20, Rodrigo Blankenship, Colts. 19, Kaimi Fairbairn, Texans. 18, Matt Prater, Cardinals. 17, Tyler Bass, Bills. 16, Braden McManus, Broncos. 15, Josh Lambo, Jaguars. 14, Ryan Suckup, Buccaneers. 13, Mason Crosby, Packers. 12, Robbie Gould, 49ers. 11, Jason Sanders, Dolphins. 10, Will Lutz, Saints. 9, Chris Boswell, Steelers. 8, Cairo Santos, Bears. 7, Young Ho Koo, Falcons. 6, Greg Zuerlein, Cowboys. 5, Justin Tucker, Ravens. 4, Daniel Carlson, Raiders. 3, Graham Gano, Giants. 2, Harrison Butker, Chiefs. And number 1, Jason Myers, Seattle Seahawks. Numbers 1 through even 7, you could argue in any order, really. But Myers has just been so dominant since he's been a member of the Seahawks. Butker's just money. Justin Tucker's a kicker in decline, so is Greg Zuerlein, but they're 5th and 6th respectively out of respect. Gano is somebody that's been money. Daniel Carlson's been sneaky good. So is Young Ho Koo. Santos, to me, same with Boswell and Lutz, are 3 guys that have made some big kicks, but also is a candidate to miss a big kick sometimes, but more so than the guys in the top 7. So there you have it, my kicker rankings for the 2021 season. All right, now I'm going to do an interesting segment. Some thoughts and takeaways from week 1 of the college football season. I'm going to go conference by conference and just talk a little bit about things I've noticed and whatnot. We'll go in alphabetical order for the conferences. We'll start with the ACC. Boston College looked dominant in their first game. I have expectations for that team this year. NC State, same thing, looked very, very dominant. Syracuse got an important non-con win, as amazing as that sounds. They can potentially start 2-0 if they beat Rutgers. Wake Forest also looks pretty good. But to me, the biggest takeaway in the Atlantic Division, at least perhaps in the whole conference, is Clemson. Will they run the table? And they could potentially be the first team to start 0-1 and rally and make the college football playoff. I don't think I've seen anybody do that. So Clemson's going to try to become the first team to do that. The quarterback did not look particularly good on Saturday night. Well, that Georgia defense is just special. But all the pressure in the world on Clemson these next couple months here. Florida State. I came away pleased with them. They rallied against Notre Dame and could have won that game in overtime. But their kicker missed a kick. And they're 0-1. I think that game really showed that that team has a lot of moxie, and the coach, I think, did a great job in that game. And they played their hearts out in that fourth quarter. And Louisville, I don't think they're going to be that good. I think I had them at 6-6 before the year. And I feel that Louisville is a team that might get better as the year goes on, but the record really won't show for it. I sat here and praised Ole Miss when I went over the game. But I think Louisville's a little bit of a wild card and unknown. Coastal Division, Virginia Tech, are they a factor? They upset North Carolina. They're 1-0. Looking good. Pitt, obvious that they're going to win that game. Virginia, same thing. Duke lost to Charlotte. I don't expect much from Duke this year. Georgia Tech, what a disappointing loss. I think they were the biggest disappointment in this conference this past weekend. You lose to Northern Illinois? Come on. Miami, can't fault them. Everybody loses to Alabama by 30. That's not like Clemson or any of these other teams. Even some of those other teams on the Clemson level, Ohio State lost to Alabama by 30 in the national title game. So no shame in losing to Alabama by 30. I think what matters for Miami is how they look in these next couple of months. In North Carolina, trap game in week 1. A lot of people thought that they were on upset alert, in which they were, and they lost. And now I know it's only week 1, but it's fair to question whether they were overrated from the get-go. All right, the American. Cincinnati looked good, but my takeaway is that their offense might be a little bit better, but maybe just one game. Ohio's a bad team. Memphis, a lot of people think they're going to take a step back. I think they may surprise. Took care of business against Nichols. SMU took care of business in week 1. UCF with the big win over Boise State. They had the best win of the conference. But my issue with this conference is that is it overrated as a whole in terms of good teams? there's only 4 1-0 teams. The rest of them are 0-1. But the case for like a team like Cincinnati's UCF being good and that win over Boise State was monstrous. East Carolina has a big game coming up this weekend. Will they get back to 500? Didn't look good against App State. Houston lost to Texas Tech. Will they bounce back against Rice? Navy, yikes. That team looked like a mess. USF's awful. Temple's bad. They're even worse than I thought. Tulane, I think that's the quote-unquote come away feeling the best in a loss award, best loss award. Like I said about Florida State in the ACC. I think that's Tulane only losing by 5 to Oklahoma. And then the worst loss of the week, Tulsa. You lose to UC Davis? Come on. Big 12. Fun fact about the Big 12. Everybody is 1-0 except for West Virginia, who arguably should have been 1-0. And they should have beaten Maryland. If their quarterback didn't throw a pick in the end zone, they probably would be 1-0. So West Virginia came darn close to being 1-0 as well. But they're the only team with the loss. But I think their quarterback play just has to be a little bit better. But Maryland might actually be decent. They actually have a good quarterback with Tagovailoa. We'll get to them. Texas Tech coming away with an important win over Houston. Texas with a win over a ranked opponent to kick it off. The Steve Sarkisian era. TCU looked dominant. OK State. You shouldn't be only winning by 7 against Missouri State. Survive and move on. Same for Oklahoma against Tulane. Kansas State with a nice win over Stanford all around. Kansas actually got a win. Iowa State should not be in a close game in Northern Iowa. They're obviously looking ahead a little bit to the game against Iowa coming up on Saturday, and that's where game day is going to be. And then Baylor was in a competitive game with Texas Tech and came away with the win. The Big Ten, East Division, Michigan State, are they good? They put up a lot of points against Northwestern. Is Northwestern that bad? I think that's one of the biggest questions coming out of this week. Ohio State obviously had to pull away in the second half from Minnesota. Penn State with the good effort on defense to win at Wisconsin. What a good win that was for Penn State. Maryland, we talked about them a couple minutes ago against West Virginia. Their quarterback, Talia Tagovailoa, could be really good. Maybe they surprise this year. Michigan, obviously with the big win over Western Michigan. Rutgers smacked Temple. Maybe Greg Schiano's team is actually pretty good. And I picked them to go like 5-7 this year, which is pretty good for that program. And then Indiana just looked awful against Iowa. And I loved Iowa in that game. And Iowa, on the flip side, I think might be that Big Ten West team that is going to be like the team that is just flat out awesome, like Minnesota was a couple years ago when they beat Penn State. And Wisconsin usually is that team. Iowa's been it before. Maybe it is Iowa. We'll see. And then Illinois, classic letdown game against UTSA after that big win over Nebraska, right? Purdue with the nice win over Oregon State. Nebraska, they bounced back in week number 2 like you thought they would. Minnesota, to me, showed me something that Ohio State game. They're very, very competitive, which I thought they'd be competitive in that game. Minnesota is a good team. Fleck's a good coach. Northwestern, they could turn out to be a huge disappointment this year. Their defense was just awful against Michigan State. And then Wisconsin, very disappointing loss against Penn State. Graham Mertz in that offense only scored 10, and they just didn't look good. Maybe they're worse than I thought. Conference USA. East Division, Charlotte with that nice upset over Duke. How they follow that up. FIU dominates week 1. Marshall with the big win over Navy. Middle Tennessee over Monmouth. Monmouth's a good FCS school. Western Kentucky dominates in week 1. FAU loses to Florida, but no shame in that. Old Dominion's just awful. The West Side, UTEP's 2-0. They're going to surprise some people this year. I know their wins are over New Mexico State and an FCS opponent, but UTEP might not be all that bad. Not as bad as they used to be. North Texas, they came away with the win. UAB came away victorious as well against Jacksonville State. UTSA with the big win at Illinois. Louisiana Tech came oh so close to upsetting Mississippi State. I actually had that as a pick. And Miss State only won by 1. And in Southern Miss, I don't think it's going to be very good. I did have them being South Alabama. They're probably just a little worse than I thought. Maybe South Alabama's a little bit better than I thought. Independence. Army with a nice win at Georgia State. Maybe they're a bounce-back team. BYU, I wasn't all that impressed with them. I was actually a little disappointed in them. Because Arizona was supposed to be very bad. And BYU, I thought, would be decent. And they only won by 8. Liberty with a dominant win. Notre Dame with that emotional overtime win at Florida State. We'll see how they look against Toledo. UMass is just awful. So is Mexico State, and UConn already got rid of Randy Edsall. And I believe the defensive coordinator is taking over as the intern head coach. The MAC. Buffalo with the dominant win. They're in an interesting spot this upcoming week. Akron and Bowling Green are just awful. Kent State didn't look good. Neither did Miami of Ohio, and then Ohio lost to Syracuse. And I thought that was a good spot for Ohio. West Division, Ball State came away with the win. So did Eastern Michigan. Northern Illinois had the best win at Georgia Tech. Toledo had a good performance. Central Michigan and Western Michigan both lost their respective games. Central Michigan covered. Western wasn't even competitive. Mountain West. Air Force coming away with the win. They have a rivalry game coming up. New Mexico has an opportunity to start 2-0. Going up against New Mexico State. Utah State with a good win at Wazoo. Maybe Utah State's a better team than I thought in the Mountain West. Wyoming barely held on against, I believe they played Montana State. Yeah, they did. Boise lost at UCF. That's not a bad loss. They could have won that game, but UCF was home and the fans. Can't fault Boise for losing that game. They weren't even favored. And Colorado State gets absolutely smacked by South Dakota State. West Division, Nevada coming away with the big win over Cal. San Diego State just cruising against New Mexico State. Survive and advance, as they like to call it. Fresno is 1-1. They were competitive with Oregon and just creamed UConn. Hawaii's also 1-1. They obviously lose bad at UCLA, and then Portland State is actually gave them a little bit of a game, and then San Jose State killed Southern Utah, and then lost typically at USC, and then UNLV lost in, I believe it was like triple overtime to Eastern Washington. Pac-12, Oregon survived an advance against Fresno State as they're obviously looking ahead to the big game in Columbus. Cal lost in Nevada. Bad weekend for Pac-12 North, other than Oregon, and even Oregon wasn't all that dominant. They were probably looking ahead, like I said. Oregon State lost at Purdue, so be it. Stanford lost against Kansas State, so be it. Bad loss for Washington as they lose to Montana. That's just awful, and they were ranked. When the rankings come out today, they're not going to be ranked. And Wazoo, bad loss against Utah State. And I had Utah State in the Fab 5 to cover, but obviously not the win. Pac-12 South, meanwhile, a very, very good weekend. UCLA's 2-0. They beat Hawaii. They were supposed to beat Hawaii. And they came away with the big win over LSU, probably the biggest win of Chip Kelly's UCLA coaching stop. Arizona State with a nice win. Herm Edwards, I mocked that hire when it happened. That actually wasn't a bad hire. Colorado coming away with the win against Northern Colorado. They have a big one this week against Texas A&M. USC, obviously the win over San Jose State. There were some people that thought that USC wasn't going to cover that game. And then Utah, with the win, they have a big one coming up against BYU. And Arizona was competitive against BYU, amazingly enough. The SEC. The East had a really good weekend as a whole, except for Vanderbilt. Well, the conference as a whole had a good weekend. In the East, except for Vanderbilt, and the West, again, except for LSU. Vandy lost to East Tennessee State. And obviously LSU lost to UCLA. And UCLA might actually be very good. So keep an eye out for that one. Florida obviously beats FAU. Win and move on. Best win of the weekend, the SEC obviously goes to Georgia. The win of the year. It'll probably be the win of the year when it's all said and done in terms of best win. 10-3 over Clemson. The one touchdown being a pick six. So good for Kirby Smart getting a big-time win at Georgia. Kentucky, with the dominant win over UL Monroe. Missouri survived in advance against Central Michigan. South Carolina beat Eastern Illinois. That was easy for them. Tennessee beat Bowling Green but didn't cover. Who cares? Survive in advance. And we talked about Vandy already. The West, we talked about LSU losing to UCLA, but the rest of the conference had a good weekend. Alabama obviously rolling against Miami, as you'd expect. Arkansas beat Rice, now looking at the Texas. Auburn with the dominant win over Akron. Mississippi State survived in advance against La Tech, as we talked about earlier. Ole Miss cruising against Louisville, which we discussed earlier. And keep an eye out for Matt Corral for the Heisman. And then A&M beat Kent State. Like they should have. And then, last but not least, the Sun Belt. App State, obviously, with a nice win to kick off their season. Coastal Carolina is just great as well. Georgia Southern barely beat an FCS school. I want to say it was Campbell. Then Troy absolutely killed Southern. Maybe they're a little better than I thought. And the only team that lost from the East Division was Georgia State, who lost to Army. And got beat pretty good by Army, too, which surprised me. I thought that game would be closer. And then the West, only two teams want to know. Arkansas State and South Alabama. South Alabama obviously beat Southern Miss. And Arkansas State predictably beat Central Arkansas. Louisiana, nothing. Ride the home. Nothing to be ashamed of losing at Texas. Texas State lost at Baylor, but good on them for being competitive. And Neil Monroe's terrible. as they lost to Kansas. And then I want to do, I'm going to predict the rankings. The new rankings have not come out yet. So I'm going to try to nail this. Alabama's going to be 1, for sure. I think Georgia's going to be 2. I really do. I think they're going to be like, oh, they beat Clemson. They're going to be 2. Number 3, I think, will be Ohio State. 4th will be Minnesota. 5th, I really don't think Clemson's going to drop that much. I think they might just drop the 5th. Then I'm going to say A&M, Cincinnati, Notre Dame, Iowa State between 6 to 9. I think Oregon's going to be 10. Number 11, I think, will be Florida. 12 will be USC. Iowa will be 13. Penn State, 14. I'm going to say 15 will be Texas. I think UNC will drop to 16. Wisconsin will drop to 17. I'm going to go bold call here. I'm going to say UCLA will be 18. $19, I'm going to say, will be Coastal Carolina. 20, I'm going to say, let's go with Utah. 21, Miami. 22, LSU. 23, Arizona State. 24, Ole Miss. And let's go 25. That last spot, who will that go to? We'll go to Virginia Tech. We'll go to OK State, and I don't know about that. I think it could potentially go to TCU. Let's give it to TCU because I think they want a Big 12 team in there. So I'm going to give that last spot to TCU. All right, so that was a fun segment. Now I'm going to do news and notes. I know that segment took a while, but I just wanted to get it done. Today is the show activity. Not a lot of news and notes today, by the way. The big one that came out yesterday is that the Ravens extended Mark Andrews 4 years, $56 million, well deserved for somebody who's become one of the better tight ends in the league. He's become a favorite target of Lamar Jackson, so congratulations to Mark Andrews, who will now be making $14 million a year. Jalen Green is giving back as he held his first youth basketball camp in his hometown, and the pictures are precious. You guys should go check it out. Something really, really cool happened. The Michigan fans sang Mr. Brightside in the football home opener. You guys better check it out. It will give you chills. Pelé had colon tumor removed as he confirms that the surgery to remove suspicious lesion. I'm used to celebrating great victories alongside you. So good for Pelé. The Braves extend Charlie Morton to a 1-year, $20 million deal. with a $20 million club option for 2023. That was a good signing by Atlanta, a good veteran arm to have in that rotation. Good for him getting an extension. And the other big story from yesterday from the NFL is that the Texans will sit Deshaun Watson, as Watson will be inactive amid sexual assault and misconduct allegations against him, and Tyrod Taylor will get the start. Kyle Kuzma says that he expected a trade to the Kings, and he said he was shocked he was dealt to Washington and not Sacramento amid the rumors. So like I said, it's going to be a short news and notes for today. Now I'm going to do my best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel. I love the over in the Mets-Marlins game. I don't know why it's only 7.5. Say it's fishy all you want. Carlos Carrasco has not been the same for a while. And Edward Cabrera isn't that good either. So I'm going over 7.5. I'm going to lay 2 units on that one. I feel so good about it. So 2 units on the over 7.5 minus 106 between the Mets and the Marlins. So there you have it for today's show. We'll be back tomorrow recapping the results in Major League Baseball and WNBA. And we'll look at it tomorrow. Obviously, round of 16 is over. Quarterfinals today, quarterfinals tomorrow as well in tennis. I'm going to do my top 100 tomorrow in terms of NFL players. And then the big prediction show is going to drop tomorrow night at some point. And then news and notes and best bet as well. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.